Welcome to ELL Plus with me, Katie Bales.
And me, Jweihan. In this week's programme, growing numbers of retailers are pulling out of the Black Friday shopping craze because of safety fears.
At the trial of Aravindan Balakrishnan at Southwark Crown Court, the prosecution give evidence about the medical condition of a woman allegedly held captive in a commune for 30 years.
HIV Testing Week sees growing debate over the illness after high-profile cases make the headlines.
And a new look at how migrants lived in Europe 40 years ago.
And Goldsmiths students sweep up at the BJTC Student Journalism Awards.
For the 5th year running, Black Friday will take over the UK's high streets tomorrow.
Previous years have seen crazed bargain hunters fighting each other for the best bargains. But now, major retailers are pulling out because of safety fears. Boglar Kalokos reports from the shops in New Cross Road.
Tents, knee pads and helmets are usually not essential for shopping trips, unless it comes to Black Friday, the day after the American Thanksgiving, when major retailers offer promotional sales, is traditionally considered the beginning of the Christmas shopping season.
Retailers rely on this period to make much of their yearly profits. According to the Centre of Retail Research, Britons spent nearly £1 billion online last year. But tomorrow, bargain hunters are expected to spend around £12,000 per second. However, online shopping gets more and more popular because people get worried about the increased violence in the shops. So we asked some Londoners to have their say on Black Friday.
It's a pretty mental day. I think it's a very animalistic, consumerist day, which is made to benefit the commercial businesses. But overall, I don't think it's a necessarily good idea because I think it brings out the more materialistic side to people.
I think it's wrong, to be honest. It's a lot of people taking advantage of deals and stuff like that in times of the year where people possibly don't have as much money. The themes you see online is just awful. The violence and stuff like that, it sickens me somewhat. I just don't agree with it, to be honest.
Although Asda's promotion helped to kick-start the original American idea across the UK, they dropped out this year to avoid risking customers' safety. Argos, Primark, Oasis, John Lewis and Mothercare joined them in either cancelling or reducing their participation. 9 out of 10 shoppers choose to look for Black Friday deals online, which will reduce pressure in stores but can make delivery and returns harder. Despite adverts promising one-off discounts, sales will last through December and beyond, so there will be other chances to get a bargain. Boglar Kalokos, ELL Plus.
Aravindan Balakrishnan is standing trial at Southwark Crown Court on 1 count of cruelty to a person under the age of 16, 1 count of false imprisonment, 19 counts of indecent assault and 4 counts of rape. He denies the charges. Daniel Tatton has the report of the court proceedings.
Aravindan Balakrishnan, seen here on the left, arrived at court this morning. He is charged with assault, indecent assault, rape, and unlawful imprisonment, incidents that allegedly took place between the years 1980 and 2013. Mr. Balakrishnan, now aged 74, was arrested in November 2013. The jury has been told that 3 women, who can't be named, were involved with Mr. Balakrishnan in what he describes as a voluntary communist collective, where people were free to come and go as they pleased. Giving evidence for the prosecution today was Director of Freedom Charity Gerard Stocks. He told Southwark Crown Court that one of the alleged victims, after leaving the collective, had lived with his family for 14 months. Doctors had diagnosed her with type 1 diabetes and vitamin deficiencies. Prosecuting counsel referred to statements made by several of Mr. Balakrishnan's neighbours, claiming they had either never seen the young woman outside or seen her very rarely. The jury also heard from the Department of Human Trafficking at the Metropolitan Police. Some of the evidence that was revealed to us today included a poem written by the youngest of the victims entitled Monster Dungeon. The poem started, "If only I were free, if only God would save me." We will be hearing from the defence lawyer tomorrow when Mr. Balakrishnan is scheduled to take the stand. Danielle Tatton, ELL Plus.
That package there from Danielle Tatton. We'll be following that story in the coming weeks. But now, Nina joins us to give us the latest on what's been happening around London.
This morning, protesters from the activist group Plain Stupid blocked the road tunnel to Heathrow Airport. The protest coincided with a debate on the airport's expansion plans in Parliament today. Travellers were inconvenienced as routes to Terminals 1, 2 and 3 were blocked. 5 people were arrested and the police removed all protesters. This week's government spending review saw cuts made to the police and fire service budgets. Tom Bateman reports on the effect this could have in East London.
Shoreditch Fire Station could be at risk of losing one of its fire engines. That's because the Mayor's office has asked London Fire Brigade to cut costs as part of the government's austerity plans. But critics say that fire services in Hackney have already been cut too far. Kingsland Fire Station was closed last year, with the fire brigade saying that Shoreditch would cover for it. The proposed cuts would mean the loss of 13 fire engines across London. London Fire Brigade has been asked to save over £13 million in the next financial year, and the Mayor has already cut 14 fire engines and closed 10 fire stations. We invited London Fire Brigade to comment on the plans, but they declined. With frontline staff and equipment coming under ever-increasing demand, there are fears that fire safety in East London could be at risk. Tom Bateman for ELL Plus.
Designs for a new bridge linking Rotherhithe and Canary Wharf have been unveiled. The bridge, which will only be open to pedestrians and cyclists, is being supported by the transport charity Sustrans. They say it would be a more environmentally friendly alternative to the planned Silvertown Road tunnel.
This week is HIV testing week. Although the disease has been around for more than 30 years, there have recently been a number of high-profile celebrity cases. Our correspondent Nina Lecourt takes a look at the issues.
More than 100,000 people in the UK are living with HIV. A fifth of them are still undiagnosed. To increase awareness of this issue, a national HIV testing week was created. The main aim is to prevent people who do not know they have HIV from spreading it to others. So the question of whether people who knowingly spread HIV should be convicted or not.
We're very lucky here that we all have access to the NHS and free treatment as soon as people want it. People should go out there, especially this National HIV Testing Week, get tested, then they can go on to treatment if they so choose, what have you, and take control of their HIV status.
At the Terence Higgins Trust, the staff is determined to make people aware of how easy it is to transmit the disease, as the subject is still quite sensitive. Last week, the actor Sheen confessed he's had HIV for over 4 years already and paid millions and millions of dollars in order to keep it a secret. So, what do people think about HIV nowadays? Has the stigma changed over the years, as HIV is not a death sentence anymore?
I think people are scared, but not like before. People thought only gay men could get HIV, and you thought that just like you wouldn't touch them because you thought you would get it. I think there's more awareness about what actually HIV is and how it can be passed on to other people.
Theoretically, it's a moral issue, maybe more than a criminal issue, I would say. I wouldn't be able to say whether I think that should be a criminal conviction or not. It's certainly a moral issue.
If you know the potential of what you're doing, and the potential could be fatal, then I think manslaughter is probably the least.
Stigma on HIV has diminished over the years, but there is still a lack of awareness of this disease. Nina Lecourt, ELL Plus.
Stay with us on ELL Plus News. Ninka Mbaye has the latest in sports.
We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to ELL Plus News.
Ninka Mbaye joins us right now in the studio to tell us all about your sports. Hello, Ninka.
Hello.
How are you? So Ninka, our first story, which we wanted to ask you about, is the Crystal Palace story. We've heard the police have been looking into identifying some people who've been involved in some trouble at the Charlton game last week. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, indeed. 22 men have been caught on camera creating violences. Now, this is a very big problem. One 20-year-old man has been charged with assault and beating. Another 34-year-old has been released on bail, while another 11 have been arrested. Now, the police are urging for anyone that is aware of anything that may have happened to call in, because this kind of behaviour is obviously not acceptable.
Yeah, that's true.
And we've heard you've got news about a Millwall player who was asked to leave the training ground for an unusual reason. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, so this is Sheen Ferguson, but let's not panic, all is good. He was actually asked to leave the pitch for actually training too hard. So he spent hours and hours after training hours, and this is obviously not good for him and his health. I think it was a difficult time for him. He'd had 15 games without scoring 1 goal, but luckily last Saturday, he scored his first goal against Colchester, so all is
great.
good.
That is interesting.
Cool.
And one more thing, apparently we heard that some local athletes have won the European Jiu-Jitsu Championships. Can you tell us about that?
So these 2 young sisters, one of them is called Zuri, the other one is Nia, 11 and 8 years old, have just gotten the gold medals in the European Championships. So they're really hoping to get the World Championships, which are very soon. So we wish them the best of luck.
Good for them. That's amazing.
Great.
Yeah.
And the journeys of migrants into Europe has dominated the news over the past year.
40 years ago, there was large-scale migration into Europe. Now, a new exhibition looks at the lives of the migrants from the 1970s. Sherby went to take a look.
The exhibition Migrating Dreams and Nightmares, Movement and Materials tells stories of migrants looking for a better life 4 decades ago. It includes pictures and excerpts from the book The Seventh Man to share migrants' journeys of beauty and terror from all those years ago.
People often don't realise the ways in which hopes and dreams are folded into the nightmares. Otherwise, people wouldn't migrate or put themselves at risk. So I suppose our aim is to open up a dialogue for a long period. We're not looking for sound bites on migration, for people to understand how promise, hardship, labour, hope are actually wrapped up together in migration.
Using words and images from the 1970s, the exhibition captures the hopes and fears of the migrants and refugees. Over 40 years later, migration is still one of the biggest issues facing the world. For Goldsmiths, this exhibition is one of the ways to raise awareness. To understand better this complex issue, they're using images, blackboard, scrolls, and even wire to bring this global issue alive.
The mix of different materials, I just love it. It's brilliant. The photos together with the wire, the constellation of things, the viewing boxes there, and the sliding text over there, wire there, different languages. I just love this kind of thing.
The exhibition will stay on display until the end of March next year. Sherby EL Plus Jweihan.
Colorful lights, international artists, and creative light installations will be making their way to London to light it up like it's never been lit before.
And with the Lumiere Festival finishing up in Durham, its organisers are excited about bringing it to life in London. Ariz Zayat reports.
November marked another successful edition of the Lumiere Light Festival at Durham City. Over 200,000 visitors came to the city's 4th annual event, enjoying around 30 pieces of art in and around the city centre. Artists from all over the world took part. French artist Katherine brought Misty Set's 3D whale to the river, while Canada celebrated the old-fashioned light bulb in cloud. Academics from Durham University collaborated to project the story of the world machine on the famous Durham Cathedral. And those with a fun spirit enjoyed making funny faces to the Super Cube, which then projected their video in one of these glass jars.
It's better than last year. I think last year it wasn't exciting as it is this year, and I think it's drawn a lot more people this year.
We've just arrived and we've just started. This is a Christmas present.
From who?
From our daughter.
Really?
Yes.
This is a great present, I guess.
It's a smashing present, yes.
Heard that the rose window with the recycled bottles is really good, so I want to see that.
It's very well organised, and I'm so pleased I'm here.
Angelus, what do you think of all the lights and everything you're
Good.
Nothing could stop the city from bustling with joy and excitement, and despite the stormy weather, Les Luminéoles on Market Square insisted on swimming in the air and captivating their audience. The organizers of the Lumiere Light Festival now feel that this exciting experience should be taken somewhere else.
Lumiere was invented here in Durham, where we're standing at the moment, and I think there was an idea from the people at the Mayor's office that they wanted to see if they could brighten the wintry darkness of London using this as a sort of model. So we're off to London in January 2016.
Do you know what the best piece will be or the most shocking piece will be?
I do, but I'm not going to tell you.
In 2 months, London will be packed with artistic surprises like these, and a massive crowd is expected to attend. Ariz Zayat, ELL Plus.
I have a TV in every room. I spend a lot of time online.
The work of journalism students was celebrated last night at the annual Broadcast Journalism Training Council Awards. Categories included Radio Documentary, Website of the Year, and Best TV Documentary.
Goldsmiths College, University of London, was strongly represented and won a number of awards. Grace Lynn went to meet the journalists of the future.
With London's South Bank as the backdrop and the ITV headquarters as the location, students of journalism were celebrated by the Broadcast Journalism Training Council last night. Hosted by Nina Hossain, young journalists submitted their work from radio, TV, news features and websites and were awaiting the results from the panel of industry experts.
The BJTC Awards are all about the students that are on our courses. We have over 3,500 students currently studying on a BJTC accredited course across the country, in fact in about 70 places. And so it's championing the very best of that journalism that our students are making.
The winner is Sarah Baker.
3 students from Goldsmiths were nominated for Best Radio News Feature and Best Radio Documentary and won. Other runners-up and winners came from universities from around the UK, demonstrating a wide range of multimedia skills.
I'm obviously thrilled to be here because it's an honor just to be nominated.
I'm mainly thrilled because I have the opportunity to represent Goldsmiths University. It's really, really nice to be acknowledged for the work that we've done as a team, as a class, but also just as an individual. All of us have put a lot of work into our pieces.
The awards give budding journalists a platform to put their work forward and be recognized. Not everyone can be a winner, but being nominated is also a big achievement and could lead to job offers and professional work experience, as well as becoming an award-winning journalist.
Well, if I can speak for all of the nominees from Goldsmiths, they were all radio program makers and they were of a very high standard. I do think we produce quite exceptional, brilliant radio journalism documentary. MA radio students seek to find human stories that are important and to tell them with dignity and creativity.
Grace Lynn, ELL Plus News, South Bank.
And now, Susanna Lee brings us the weather.
Good afternoon. The weather last night was generally cloudy with a few spells of light rain. We started the day cloudy with 1 or 2 morning showers with winds of 5 miles per hour. The temperatures are not expected to drop below 7 degrees Celsius. As we go through the afternoon, the weather improved. It will be mainly dry with sunny spells and a maximum temperature of 10 degrees Celsius. This evening and overnight will be slightly milder than it was last night. It will be cloudy with patches of rain and temperatures around 7 or 8 degrees Celsius. If you are out on Friday night, be prepared for some heavy rains and gusty winds. It will turn much chillier as we head towards the weekend. Saturday will be sunny for most of the day, although there will be some rain later.
That's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next week.